Ace, but I guess now I gotta defend the Simplicity prediction. Coco, I think you're in the same boat. Now that we have to
Yeah.
swap over to Simplicity winning, what's the reason? If we have to think of it on the fly.
Well, as a matter of fact, I did go Simplicity 2-1 on this
You
one
did.
because of the history that they have against Polar Ace. And mostly what I'm talking about is the regular season of Upsurge for this summer split. They beat Polar Ace twice in a best of 3 series. Both of those series went
Hmm.
2-1, but they did beat Polar Ace in both of those times. So I'm wondering if Simplicity has Polar Ace's number in the actual, like, on Summoner's Rift. But outside of that, it's mostly just been a luck of the draw for Polar Ace, sort of like kind of getting luckier with the sort of compositions that they're able to push out, not to mention the teams that they've been going up against in their group stages.
I mean, that is a different Simplicity that we saw last time when
It's
they played
true.
Polar Ace. Their bot lane has swapped around, but same on the side of Polar Ace, their bot lane swapped around a little bit too.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the matchups, I thought I chose Polar Ace, and I just did the classic Canadian eye test, which teams got more Canadians on it, and that's Polar Ace. But Infectrix, their new jungler, has only been on the team for 5 days, so we'll see if they're able to play around him and how that affects their draft. It seems like Simplicity Esports are hard targeting Infectrix right now, taking away the Olaf, taking away the J4.
Yeah, and you want to get those off the table because they set up for even bigger compositions. It also sort of takes away the Galio, which will still be available and on the board just because of how strong it is in the mid lane. But now you don't have to worry about that. And look at that. Simplicity, they're going with what works for them. The power farming Karthus jungle already being that first lock-in. So already it provides not only that massive late game threat potential and that security in that pickup, but also it allows the solo laners to really figure out what they want to like grab to work around that composition.
But the problem that we have seen in the past with Simplicity is Panda loves to play these power farming, scaling junglers. And then they'll play things that want to get aggressive in lane at the same time. And sometimes we've seen them punished for that. Rafa was talking in the pregame about that Nocturne pick being a crush that they fall back on. It's banned right now, but that's just something we need to think about with Simplicity. Making sure they do get those lane matchups that can play defensive and allow Panda to scale. But looking at Polar Ace, what they're locking in, they're still prioritizing the Aphelios, and they grab the Volibear. I love this Volibear pick.
Yeah, I agree with the Volibear pick specifically because it's just going to also power farm in the jungle and it has better gank potential. And when you're able to rush to that level 6, if you're able to do it quicker than Karthus and you get the scuttle priority because your dueling is better in the early stages, you get that jump up, you get that time warp, and you'll be able to actually create some dives, get some early setups, and then it really rushes your mid game in to cause the absolute chaos that you need to really get that advantage over Simplicity's team, who is, as a matter of fact, going with a little bit more pick with that Ashe grab.
Yeah, Simplicity trying to channel Lobos from last night. The Ashe pick is so strong right now. It feels great in lane, and it can pair well with the Karthus. But the TF is a little interesting to me because this is something that wants to get out of lane and make things happen around the map. Not something that I necessarily expect to pair with a scaling Karthus, although Panda can always just press R, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something where you grab Sudsy with the Twisted Fate, you hit level 6 and say, we don't need a jungler to gank for us anymore. We have a mid laner that'll do just that. And that's the whole point of Twisted Fate, is to just help get those side lanes online and get them ramping up just to help catch up with you and the power farming jungler that you have. If he participates with Requiem, that's all said and down. But Orianna is a great answer to that because she can help push out the wave, make sure that Twisted Fate sort of has to make sure that he looks at the wave control in that mid side just for a little bit before he decides to really help out anyone else.
I love it because, like you said, she can push a wave, and with her passive, she does a lot of damage to turrets. So if you leave this Orianna alone in a lane for too long, trying to make those TF ultimate plays elsewhere on the map, you could get punished if you don't pull off the plays. This is not the Simplicity that I expected to see. It feels like they're going for more of a proactive early game than I was anticipating here. When I was doing prep for this, I was thinking, okay, this is a scaling team. This is a team that will want to pick these champions that will come on later on in the game. And they still have some options for that, but they also have tools to make earlier plays. Catching up on the rest of the band, so Polar Ace taking away the Darius from the top laner himself, BMD. He is very dangerous on that pick. And then Nautilus as well. Talking about Simplicity's bot lane, still fairly new to the roster, Villas and Jonathan Furlong. So taking away some of those hook supports, make sure that they get not as much engaged on the bottom half.
Yeah, and the set being taken away as well. They've lost to set every single time they've really dealt with him when it was in the hands of BMD. I think they only have one win against it. out of the 5 that they had to deal with, but nonetheless, it's something that when I look at what they want to grab from BMD, you can go ahead and you finish your support right here with the Soraka being snagged. Go ahead, give some more time to think about the top laner. Karma being banned off the board honestly tells me that you could go something like Lulu, but Blitzcrank is completely the opposite of what I was thinking, but it might be exactly what they need to help set up those Twisted Fate roams.
I was gonna say, what we know about Jonathan Furlong, loves to play hooking supports. That's why no surprise that the Nautilus is gone. Bard also a playmaking support. The Thresh band against Polar Ace surprised me, but there's still more hook champions left. And when you lock in the Soraka, that's such a clear choice here for simplicity. We've even seen him pro play Blitzcrank be the answer to the Aphelios. Just any kind of hard engage where you can find him is very effective. And the final top laner, BMD, pulling out the gang plank, everybody. This is a top laner that can stay safe with that Karthus power farm in the jungle. This is a top laner that can scale late into the game, and this is what I expected to see from this team.
So I'm going to be curious to see what Polar Ace is going to grab into this top side, to see if they have an answer to the Gangplank, who has such a comfortable lane in this current situation. With the Jace lock in, I agree with the fact that you...
Is it comfortable anymore?
Well, it's still comfy because you can still play safe with Grasp of the Undying, and if you go Inspiration second, you'll just have biscuits to chew on. So even though you're going to have a lot more harassment to deal with, it's not a terrible matchup. Jace needs to actually help his jungler out in Volibear a little bit more, as a matter of fact. Like, this is where I want to see Flares and Infectress. You push out that top side and you go in and you roam in the top end. See if you can find any attraction on where Panda is just power farming. And with that knowledge in mind, you can make some plays elsewhere, look for a possible neutral objective, or possibly catch him with his pants down and get a free kill for yourself on a Karthus.
That's a lot of trust on the new jungler coming into the roster. Again, Infectrix has only been on as a starting player for 5 days. He came back in on June 11th. So they haven't had a lot of time to prepare going into playoffs here. I'm excited to see. Looks like Infectrix with the in-game name of Cywag right now. So just to make sure everyone is on the same page. And the bot lane support, Jonathan Furlong, going by 2Hero2. On the other side, looks like instead of Spawn and I had that flipped. I had that completely flipped around. Everyone forget what I was just saying there. Looks like Julian did the name swap with a lane swap. He's going by 2Hero2. But simplicity there. Yep, BMD top lane, Panda, Sudsy, K-Hip Hop, and Mr. Bad instead of Villas and Jonathan Furlong. So, Coco, if we had to think, zooming out here about these rosters, or rather these team compositions, who are we favoring going into this first match?
Well, I also just heard from production that Cywag is a substitute for our boy Infectress, which means this is even more bad news bears, to be honest. Like, unfortunately, like that he's playing Volibear and that he's got the bad news on that end, but it just favors simplicity a little bit more in this stage because their composition is much more well-rounded. Sure, their like extreme early game isn't terrible because you have Ashe that can push out, can duel against the Aphelios and the Soraka, even if you do have a little bit of trouble dealing with it back there, like sort of back and forth once you hit that one item power spike. But overall, like, you've got the late game security from not only one champion in Karthus on Panda, but 2 with BMD's Gangplank. And your damage will just continually scale. The only issue that I would have would be if Sudsy and Flares run up against each other in a side lane when both of these teams eventually go to that mid to late game stage where there's a little bit of 4-1 split pushing going on. And Flares had a successful early game strategy where he was able to get a couple kills or really get to power farm against BMD, and then we'll be able to go into that side lane, find a catch onto Sudsy, and then kill him to create a play elsewhere on the map. So that's my only concern for simplicity, but overall Polar Ace is fighting an uphill battle here.
It's going to be hard to deal with all the tools of simplicity in the late game, but you see that they're prepared for it. 2 cleanses on the team, Busio and Spawn both opting to take that. They do not want to get caught out by these enchanted crystal arrows and these TF ultimate gold cards, but it's because there's so many. There's also the Blitzcrank. I mean, so many ways to catch out members of Polar Ace that simplicity can utilize. I'm in love with this draft, and I definitely agree. Despite the Aphelios power pick locked in, despite the Volibear power pick as well, and the Jace counter pick, it's just so much easier to, imagine how Simplicity Esports is going to play out this game. It's going to be about the 1-3-1. Sure. It's going to be about making these cross-map plays with their multiple globals, TF ulting in, Gangplank ulting down, etc., etc. So if Polar Ace have an avenue to win this, like you said, Jace on the top lane, Flair's getting ahead and getting that lead. But how likely is that with this brand new jungler coming in?
It's still very possible just because of how strong the picks are in those early stages. This is where it's going to be up to Cywag and Flares to really double down and work together on that. Not to mention Busio as well. Like the jungle mid synergy, the whole cliche of that is very much an actual thing. It's not just something you have to just acknowledge. So if he's able to get a push, get some decent aggression and wave control against Sudsy, then he can help out in that way. But it is very much on that top side. And bottom end, sure, you might get a couple ganks here and there, especially when Cywag hits 6 and you can make some turret dives, but it's going to be so scary to do so because of the additional damage and the peel that Blitzcrank actually provides. And it's surprising how he can do it just with the knock up with the Empowered Fist and the pulls. It's just annoying to
silence. Yeah, he's got a lot going on for him. But we have seen Polar Ace. Their primary carry is typically Spawn. So seeing that big carry on the big carry himself, Aphelios, gives some hope for this roster. We're loaded on the Summoner's Rift for the first match of the evening. Game 1, Simplicity versus Polar Ace. Seed 3 versus Seed 2. Again, Simplicity has gotten the better of Polar Ace the past 2 times that they've ran into them over in the UPL. So maybe a slight favor there, although these are different rosters from each side that we're seeing. And also, Coco, okay, the head coach of Polar Ace seems confident that they're going to win. That doesn't match either of our predictions, Coco.
Yeah, history tends to repeat itself. So if this is going to be a 2-1, it's going to be a 2-1 in the other way. But hey, you can change the history. It's always possible. Rewrite it if so. And in the end, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Does this count as a prophecy? Does this count as a prophecy from a stone chiseling jawline of a bard?
Only if you believe in it.
Only if you believe in it. I like it. I like it. Look at here. Simplicity going for an early, or rather a delayed invade. The flash by Mr. Bad. They really want Spawn so bad right now. He has to flash. He has to cleanse. But he does get out of there. It's really rough start, though, for Cywag. I don't think he can contest this blue buff.
No, yeah, this loses blue buff for you, and that is actually tragic because now you have to see if you can force that vertical jungle. But it's going to be delayed now because you have to walk up there. You have to solo red buff. And my goodness, Flares.
Flares, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You cannot take this 1v. Okay, doesn't even try and flash. Oh, hook bot side too. Spawn could be in some trouble. And it looks like 2Hero took the W. No slows, no silences. Just trying to heal up Spawn. And they lose the Summoner Spell heal as well. Things are not looking good for Polar Ace to start off.
Yeah, I'm hitting a big right now with that 1v1 at the top side. Because traditionally, when you're going into a Jace Gangplank situation, yes, Gangplank has a pretty good level 1, but you're not letting me talk here.
I don't think you're going to be able to talk this whole game.
I don't think so.
Spawn is just getting bullied right now. What was that, K-Hip-Hop? Just getting that final auto. It felt like it did way too much damage, but hey, it's enough. Spawn gives up another kill.
Yeah, Hip Hop with the bop gets the kill, and now he's going to be able to create some additional pressure and sort of create a CS gap. Let's see if he can really expand on that in the next few minutes, because you don't even have enough gold to buy a call or even get boots. You get an additional health potion, and that's all you're able to grab for Spawn, and he's able to come back. But now we do see that the vertical jungling did go through. Swagwagrus is on that top side. They're going to do the full clear. And honestly, that's probably the best thing that has happened for Polar Ace in the first 3 minutes of this game. And BMD is just going to kill Jace again.
Level 2.
Oh my
running
goodness.
Down Flares. Can't quite find him, but he's still poking out this Jace. This is not how I thought the 1v1 matchup would go, Coco.
So here's one of the issues as well, is the fact that Flares is running Conqueror on Jace. It demands for longer, more extended fights to happen to really get the massive amplifying effect that Keystone uses. The problem is you don't want that into Gangplank. You want that phase rush because it lets you do those early trades, those quick trades, and it lets you get in and get out to where that whole chase factor of Gangplank with his barrels and with his passive can catch up to you and continue that consistent fighting that GP would prefer, in honesty. So Flares is playing into BMD's hand, and that's just been showing time and time again. Yeah, it's nice that he's keeping up in the CS game, but when you have to recall every 2 waves, that eventually will start to outscale, and the whole Silver Serpents that Gangplank will get for that additional farm will eventually just overwhelm you.
And we already talked about it. The Gangplank is the scaling champ, so it feels great for Simplicity having such a strong early game when they're the composition that can win late and can do it much more easily. Polar Ace, things are going terribly for their game plan right now. And look at this 1v1 mid lane, too, with some beautiful production value, too. The 1v1, not meaning too much, but we could see some more action bot side here. Mr. Bad gets stunned down, rooted up. He's taking a lot of damage, but they're turning it back around, and they actually steal the kill back. Spawn now in trouble as Panda's joined in. He'll go down. Okay, Hip Hop getting that one. Boostio, I don't think he wanted to join in either. Panda's so alive. Can the Gromp get the kill? It does, but it's a 4-for-1 trade at the end of the day.
And now we are slowly encroaching on a 3,000 gold lead. I want to see where that gold is once we get out of this replay. But, you know, look at that green square block, because you got to focus on Blitzcrank on that, because he just gets caught out. But look at how tanky he is. Only at level 3. Allows enough time for Hip Hop to come in and help secure the kills with Fox Panda. And this is all just a sense of the early consequences that happen. The kills that were coming in from the bottom lane and the early pressure that they were able to get with that early invade. So all of that sort of accrued to a consequence of that initial fight. Yeah, you're able to get the kill, but it's just a little bit of a consolation prize for participating in the game. Here's the gold that pops up. I can see that there's actually that debt going in, the futures market for Panda, so he's able to get to power spikes a little bit quicker. But here you go.
There's still action top side. Flares. He actually almost turns it around. Flashes away early. BMD could flash follow with a Q, but won't actually look for it.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is, you need to do phase rush to just like get those early trades, dip in, dip out, and it doesn't let BMD chase you like he's doing in all of these situations. And he could just flash Q again. He doesn't have Sheen though, so it's not going to just absolutely slap you and send you 6 feet under. But for now, he's playing on absolute mirror's edge right now, on the edge of death, and gets to recall again. It's the whole 2 waves recall. He has 10 CS though. Like,
he does have more CS, but because he was taking so much damage, he pulls Pi Swaggerus topside to try and defend him. When Pi Swaggerus is now down in CS, down to that jungle clear, and now this dragon is just free for Simplicity. So because of how the top lane's going, the jungle is actually paying the price here, just trying to keep this Jace in some sort of lead, despite giving up that first blood. And free objective over to the side of Simplicity. They'll absolutely take that any day of the week, and we might see a gank up topside now. Brandmount Darius trying to run away, has the ultimate available. He might just have to turn this one and try and fight, because Pythagoras is here. There's the smite to slow him down. He does have the flash, and he gets out of there safely, but has to burn that summoner spell.
And does have to deal with that. That's no problem. He can go ahead and go back and grab some additional items for himself to help ramp up to that Trinity Force. I wonder how much he's going to be sitting on when he gets to cash in. We'll find out in just a little bit. He actually decides, okay, Longsword might be looking for a Phage. He's just going for all the single components to really maximize just the initial base stats that you can get to continue with the trading that he's been so successful in. But now on the spot side, you hit level 6.
Like
dude, this is level 6 to level 4.
There we go. They're going in on the 2 heroes. Soraka taking a lot of damage. There's the Requiem coming down. And Sudsy's even joined in on the fun spawn. Just hit level 5? What? Killing spree for the Ashe, 4-0-2. This is not looking good for Polar Ace. Simplicity making plays back to back to back. Oh, Nani. There we go. Spawn gets the backup kill.
Man, it's tragic when the actual Summoner's Rift has more kills than Polar Ace actually can get with their champions. Like, you got Gromp that got a kill, and then you got Turret that got a kill.
Yeah, the map is on Polar Ace's side right now. They're like, come on, guys, make it competitive. Let's go.
Maybe it'll help him in the long run, but right now, hey, you got the Shelly objective right now with the control. Swaggerus is seeing if he can at least get some kind of scraps for objectives in this game that has been an absolute bloodbath in favor of Simplicity. So if you're able to get that, the thing is, you better hurry up, because the rest of Simplicity is coming in to crash you.
Yeah, they have their bot lane roaming up here. No arrow on Hip Hop right now, but ooh, they tried to go for the Blitzcrank engage instead. Don't quite find it, but they still do push back Pythagorus. The Volley Bear has to go back to farming his own jungle, so should just be another neutral objective to Simplicity. I love that roam that they did, committing their bot lane all the way up here. You had to lose some plates bot side, but definitely worth it in the grand scheme of things. And Coco, what happened to the scaling plan, the late game focus that we expected from Simplicity? They have been aggressive in this early game.
Well, if you're able to get kills in the early stages, it ramps up that late game a little bit faster, and it makes you get there and just absolutely destroy people who are 4,000, 5,000 gold down. Currently, it's only just around that 3,000 gold lead, and it's a lot on this bottom end and for Panda as well.
Oh, Arrow goes in, trying to get on this spawn. I don't think that they have the damage for it, though, especially not with Soraka there. Key Hip Hop. Yeah, I was a little over-eager to go for that play.
Yeah, I think once you finish your Blade of the Ruin King, then you need to at least dip into a little bit of debt and get the Executioner's Calling just to deal with Julian Soraka and have a little bit of tolerance in there for those 2v2 trades, because now you're starting to see that the Soraka is getting a little bit too hot to handle with that healing. Panda's here on this side. They get the healing.
Oh, it's just that easy. Pulling over the wall. Mr. Bad making it look easy, but the trade kill for Spawn. Sniping down onto K-Hip Hop, and the teleport comes down as well by Swaggerus. Looking for the dive. He doesn't actually shut down the turret, but with Flare as his teleport, that's more than enough damage to take the support as well.
All right, and 2 kills going over for Polar Ace for the price of just 1. And finally, some action on their side coming in with a favor for the kills, actually going to the champions. And looking now just for a quick reset after that all-in 5-man gank on that bottom end. They have to get a little bit of a catch-up because it did relieve some pressure in the top and mid lane. So BMD gets to grab himself a turret plate and go and recall comfortably, while Sudsy as well, I believe, also grabbed a plate on top of him. So they can have a little bit of an early advantage to see what they can finalize. I can also see Sudsy going for a Trinity Force as well. So much more of that split pushing style. So they can go full 1-3-1 if they'd like to once this map really opens up. It's just a question of when they want to open that map to the full potential that they want it, right? Because you have Dragon coming up in the next 45 seconds. Maybe they might open it up second Herald around.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Well, they have the first Herald right now, so that will be a big tool to open up the map for them. And they still have 3 minutes to play around with these plates. So that means Simplicity, they're not in a rush. They still have half the timer of that Rift Herald to decide where the next play is going to be and where they want to put this Herald. I would love it bot side, and it looks like that's where Panda is actually heading towards right now. There's no jungle camps for him to take down here, and the Dragon, like you said, up in 20 seconds. This clearly signals to me that they're making some sort of play. BMD's got ult, and we see Sudsy with ult in the mid lane as well. I'm expecting a lot of action here in a very short amount of time. The hook goes wide, almost hits 2 hero, but here we go. They engage on the spot. K-Hip Hop trying to get that damage by Swaggerus, flashes away, but the last second damage will be enough. Requiem, is that going to take down 2? It's not quite there yet. Not a lot of AP on Panda, but still the damage is there. Sudsy now trying to take this 1v1 against Busio. The shockwave was used, but it didn't do that much damage. Sudsy just chasing him down right now. Another gold card. I don't think he's got it. Not quite, but close. Either way, the bot turret will fall. Simplicity still putting on the heat to Polar Ace.
Yeah, they were setting up for that pick potential to see if they could grab that kill, which they were able to, and then you just drop the Herald, really break open that bottom side, but they're still going.
Busio flashes the hook over the wall! Mr. Bad! Feels so good. He does go down, but he gives a kill over to his mid laners. Brown Mandarius has to flash away topside. This is what you want to see from the 1v1 between Jason and Gangplank, but even with that flash down, all the objectives are going to Simplicity.
Yeah, so let's look at this. This is just Mr. Bad coming in and just being absolutely mean to Busio here. Comes in with the Hex Flash, and it's just an unfortunate event here because you get the cleanse, but you got the knock up before the flash. So you still get full CC, even if you did cleanse the gold card. So it was just tragic that he was able to get that for Busio, but great for Mr. Bad to help secure that hook and get the kill.
Yeah, Sudsy with more gold on the TF, more control over that mid lane, getting that plate before the Orianna cannon. Now they're just making another play onto 2 hero 2. What are you doing, Soraka? Your support caught away from the rest of your team and easily goes down to the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, that was okay. Awkward, buddy. Don't do that again, Julian. We'll be keeping an eye on you, putting you on a shorter leash.
If I had a nickel for every time I've done that, yes, but to preface, I am plat 4, so it makes a little more sense. But Mr. Bad, he's got the confidence, he's got the swagger to just walk at players, but it's K-Hip Hop that's actually paying the price. Beautiful from Mr. Bad, trying to keep his AD carry alive. It doesn't quite work, but they are turning the play around. Flare splashes the wall. Tension turned back now onto Spawn. They should take down the AD carry in time. Flare is buying some more time for himself. Spawn, he actually turns it. 200 years of combined gameplay experience, and now they turn attention back here onto Mr. Bad. The Blitzcrank goes down. Spawn on the Aphelios absolutely popping off right now. This is the win condition for Polar Ace.
Yeah, that was some overconfidence coming in from BMD, but you knew that he had Chakram and Severum up and available. That is just amazing dueling guns for Aphelios on that setup, and that's what turned the fight. He had so many Chakrams ready, got all that sustained, and just healed back up to full. But here now comes Panda seeing if he can actually secure kills.
Panda trying to get onto the Soraka. They're just eliminating the first threat so they can actually kill the Aphelios this time around. They get him too as Flare spawns back into base. I like that from Simplicity, making use of those global ultimates. Gangplank ult comes in, and they even have K-Hip-Hop there as backup. Doesn't have the enchant Crystallera, but doesn't matter. I mean, they're able to make these plays happen like butter.
For sure. And now for Simplicity, just stay on this top side, get some more vision control, because you're going to have Herald up in the next few seconds here. So see if you can get that nice red ward. I want to see Mr. Bad, see if he can drop a control ward for possible picks here and there to prepare for that neutral objective contestation. And you don't have any tools available on BMD's side, so that's why he's staying a little bit more into that bottom jungle and just saying, you know what, don't worry, I have confidence in my team to find picks. I can just go ahead and match flares whenever I need to. But the rest for Polar Ace is really saying, okay, we probably have to give up this Herald because we are not fully ready for a fight unless we have Spawn at the ready and he has the guns for the fight. Right now, he doesn't. He has only the sniper and the slow weapon. So for this point, you just have to give it up, forfeit it, prepare for Dragon in the next 2 minutes, and then see if your power spikes are ready at that point.
And again, they make the call. Flares gets the guaranteed turret on the bot side for the Herald, which will be a, you know, it's not a guaranteed turret unless you're able to pull off the play perfectly. So I still like this from Polar Ace. It feels like they have a game plan to play around, and it is Flares himself. He's been doing a great job in this 1v1 in the side lane. We see Groundman Darius down a decent chunk of CS, even going for some of his jungle camps on the bottom half of the map, taking red, taking Raptors, but still with a big lead over to this Jace, despite how the early game went. But here's the ultimate in from Twisted Fate. Sudsy looking for the engage onto Flares, but Flares actually does get away. Another gold card comes through. Sudsy with the full chase down, and the Requiem comes in. That should be a kill. Panda, he's participating, everybody. Pressing that R button, getting those kills.
What did we say during Champions Select? You don't need a jungle to gank for you if you got mid lane to do it. Twisted Fate doing exactly what he needs to do to help keep control of those side waves. And for those side lane champions, they're doing that sort of 1-3-1 almost, to a matter of fact. Like Blitzcrank and Sudsy are just going to be those roamers in the jungle. And then it's going to be Panda, who's now just going to continue to power farm, but in a lane this time. And I'm surprised that Hip Hop is on the top end, but with Dragon being up in 30 seconds, that kind of makes an explanation for itself in their own right. Pushed it out, now he's starting to roam down into this bottom lane, and he has Enchanted Crystal Arrow available. Herald dropped as well, so this is all preparation for that objective.
And we talk about those power spikes. Later, the Road King completed on K-Hip Hop as well. Joining up the team, there's Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Goes through the goalpost, not finding anybody, but I still like the proactivity of that kind of shot. You know, if members of Polar Ace try and stop that turret push, you have an arrow coming through, and now they have the inside track of the Dragon. K-Hip Hop has joined in, and look at where Polar Ace is. I don't think they have a chance of contesting this right now.
I don't even think they can
top side, support top side.
No, and like they don't have the guns on spawn to really hard push turrets, so you can just have BMD run up there, clear the wave, and all will be well for Simplicity. And the other problem is that you are giving up soul point congestion for the next 5 minutes. So they will have that mountain soul, which will make it even more difficult for Flares to try and duel BMD on the side, which, as a matter of fact, he's been getting the better of him just for a while. And I wonder if it's mostly because of that Blade of the Rune King power spike, just giving him more of that potential sustain damage in the long run, and sort of helps in that advantage for the overall lengthened bouts.
But I think Simplicity's happy with the lane swap instead. They get Brownman Darius away from Flares. Instead, they put Sudsy. He's got the Ninja Tabby, he's got the completed Trinity Force, and 7 stacks on Darksteel. This guy packs a punch and can stay a little safer against the Jace. Just throwing that gold card if Flares gets a little too testy. And now goes for that full reset and gets some Medjais. They are going full stack here right now. Go 2 Medjais on Simplicity. This is that swag build that you like to see in Amateur.
Oh, for sure. And swag build indeed. I'd love to see it. We have 2 Medjai Soul Stealers. Like 14 and 7 on the stacks is absolutely insane at this point. Like, I don't like seeing Soul Stealers in competitive play just because of how like snowbally it is. But in these kind of situations, when you have a power farming Karthus who really doesn't want to even look at the enemy team in the same vicinity as he is, it's probably the best way to do it. The other thing too is actually the Liandry's Torment on Panda. I feel like Morella Namacon might have been just a slightly better choice this time around because you're against Julian Soraka. Like, just for the long run, or for the short run, as a matter of fact, the short run Morella Namacon with the additional magic pen could be better, and then you can always just sell it and switch to the Liandry's Torment when you really start to contest for the Barons and you have longer threats. But
they don't need to wait for the Baron to contest. They can just find Swagazoras in the jungle. He's just clearing a ward. He's in his own side of the jungle. He's like, come on, guys, I'm safe, right?
He didn't need to be there either.
Map? Anyone? No?
Well, like, you find the wards, and at this point, Polar Ace has to say, okay, I found a ward. Where's the rest of my teammates? Because do I even have enough time to clear these wards before the rest of Simplicity just jumps on me?
Simplicity might be throwing a little bit here, though. They take a lot of damage on that turret, but the Requiem's coming through. Look at K-Hip-Hop just peppering flares with those auto attacks. Absolutely insane damage coming out from the Ashe with the lethal tempo. They do take that mid lane turret. No one goes down on either side, but I was looking a little dicey for a minute there.
Yeah, just crawling on all fours back to your base to heal up and just get back into the fight here, because now Baron is available and you say, okay, is there any possibility for Simplicity to take this Baron? And as a matter of fact, it is yes, because they have double Trinity Force on BMB and Sudsy. You have the Blade of the Ruin King on Hip Hop to just tear through with that additional current health damage, and of course you got Panda as well to just like buff out and just deal as much as possibly can.
DPS,
but, I'm just concerned for god dang it, I was about to explain not getting
Coco, why are you talking about objectives? Why are you talking about Baron when this is what we've been seeing all game? But actually Polar Ace do turn this one around. K-Hip-Hop goes a little too far forward and gives a double kill over to Spawn. Sudsy still once more though. He's on the back line. Teleport coming in, pushing the Twisted Fate away. He's toying with it though, trying to run as fast as he can, and look at this volley bear just running Sudsy down. He's got another gold card, but everybody's here for the party, and Polar Ace will take this fight. Sudsy flashes over the wall. Can he get the blast code? Oh, he takes the bear with him. Flying bears, landing bears, killer bears. Swagazoras will take down the mid laner Sudsy. We get the Twitter prediction again. Polar Ace confident, and now they are the team on the Baron.
Yeah, they were able to win that fight, but they're not out of the fog just yet. And Chando Crystalero might find a pick.
I don't think it's going to find a kill. That does a lot of damage there to Hero. And there's the Blitzcrank. Mr. Bad with the kill. The bear does go over, though, to Polar Ace. And now we're going to see another team fight here. Panda's in the pit. Look at Spawn. No flash. Cannot get out of there. Easy pickup. But K-Hip-Hop's in trouble. Takes a 1v1 against the Jace. And Flair says this is why you should not do that, buddy. But Mr. Bad at least turns it around. A 3-for-1 trade, rather. And the Baron going over to Polar Ace.
All right, so what does this Baron really do for Polar Ace? And honestly, all it does is give them a sense of equilibrium. It does give them some additional gold to help pump up those numbers and get them to their second power spike or third power spike, depending on the players, because you're looking at flares and saying, all right, I still need to get my Death's Dance, while everyone else is trying to see if they can get to that third item and really become either tanky or just do that additional damage to really sway the fights, because Spawn is the only damage dealer at this point for Polar Ace, and if they don't have the right guns, they lose the fights just outright.
But they catch up Panda.
Hello.
No, Panda way too far forward. Bucio almost goes down as well. The Requiem still doing damage through the Karthus death as two Hero running away as fast as he can, but Mr. Bad's there looking for the hook, looking for the grab, doesn't quite find it. Brownman Darius now with the 1v1 against Spawn. Swagazoras joining in, gets flashed out of Aphelios. But Polar Ace are finding ways back into this game. They still have a gold deficit, but they're not playing like it, and they're not looking like it. Cleanse comes out from Spawn, trying to chase down K-Hip-Hop, but doesn't fully commit to it. They do get Flash out of the Ashe, and he's taking a lot of damage right now. I don't think they can get the kill, but they will get the Dragon. That was still a point here for Team Simplicity. They really wanted this Mountain Dragon, but Polar Ace will deny it.
Yeah, and with that pick onto Panda, that equilibrium is just a little bit more leveled out. And from what was a 7,000 gold differential is now only dropped down to 2,000, and really helping them out in just a sense of morale too. Like, you've got the power play. I don't expect any turrets to actually fall outside of that mid lane one that happened, but even then, it's a question of will they be able to do anything else once this power play goes away. We'll have to keep an eye on what gun Spawn will have the next time they try and attempt to push down a lane, because that will really tell the tale of how those fights will go. Do see that Fiendish Codex onto Busio, so might be going for a Banshee's Veil or a Zanya's. I'd really bet for the Zanya's just for the longer extended situations, but in the long run, Simplicity still is in the driver's seat.
They are in the driver's seat, but they've looked a little rocky the past few plays. We were talking about those Magi stacks earlier. Now only 1 on Sudsy, still 10 on Panda, but
Yeah.
those buys are the purchases, the gold investment, not looking as good this time around. Interesting to note, though, they're opting heavily for these Grievous Wounds. 3 Executioners calling built on Simplicity right now. It feels like they should be ready for these fights, ready for these objectives, but they've gotten caught out a few too many times. Just one member being too far forward, and then suddenly, boom, Busio finds them with that shockwave, and that's enough to start the fight and then end it with Spawn's damage. Now in that 3-item power spike, this Ophelio packing a punch.
No, and it's only been recently, right, that they've really had these sways of being caught out or not being prepared for an objective. And it's only been around the fact that Spawn is available for Polar Race in those situations. Swaggerous just going to take another crystal arrow to the face, and this is the push that we were talking about. Look at the guns that Spawn has. He has Severum and he has Infernum. Massive team fight potential with a little bit of dueling situational awareness in that sense. So we'll see if he'll be able to actually use it to a full effect. He's almost out of ammo as well, so I wonder if they're gonna. No, they're not gonna catch him out. It's just sort of push to cash wave, push it back, because this is the 1-3-1 again that Simplicities are going to try and run. It's just a question to see if Mr. Bad will be able to find a catch onto Julian, and then that will help open up the floodgates a little bit more for them to get some more assertiveness and more aggression. But right now, not really the time, because there's nothing that they can get like as a reward if they do find a pick.
They're looking for it onto Flares right now. The whole team was spotted on that control ward.
Okay,
They get the flash. That's something to start off with. There's no big objectives to take, but they do set their eyes on this bottom turret. This would actually be pretty big if they can claim it, but members of Polar Ace are there to answer. So looks like Simplicity make the call as a team. Back off. We don't want to go for it. Let's not push too hard here and just prep for something bigger, something better. But that flash down on Flares means a little less safe in that side lane now.
Yeah, I was just looking at that gold differential. A 3,000 gold between Panda and Swaggerous. Like, that is just the Zanya's Hourglass in total, to be honest. And that can really sway the tides of these fights if
Look at the
Panda
CS
just goes unattended.
This is 100 CS differential.
Like, it makes sense. Makes sense with the Flame Horizon situation going on, but like, you look at the rest of the team and they're not doing too hot. Like, Polar Ace has the farm advantage in 3, if not 4 out of the situations. But at that point, it's really just a question of how much of that actual gold is currently being used up. And to be honest, for both these teams, I think Polar Ace has more active gold. As a matter of fact, yeah, it's actually Simplicity that has more active gold.
Yeah, that's over 1,000 on Spawn right now.
Yeah, he needs to cash in. He needs to cash in for the next fight.
Gonna be a full
if he
zeal.
doesn't, yeah, it might change out. Like, he needs to get something on that.
Oh, he's not going for a zeal, going for the Death's Dance instead. Wants that extra survivability, and it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're looking at all the pick potential. If that Ash Arrow hits you from long range and you can just survive a little bit longer than usual, that feels great. But now the play onto the bot side, they know Flares has no flash, so they just full commit on it. It's taking a while to stand down. Play happening on the in these towers.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely nuts. Seems that running.
All right, looks like these are some technical difficulties. Not on our end, Coco. I was a little concerned because I know that the two of us are on the same internet right now. But let's get a replay of what happened there during the interim. Oh, it looks like that play on the mid side, actually. They tried to get on the spawn, but then turn around. K-Hip Hop takes a lot of damage to start off. Mr. Bad does a good job zoning, but the backline just gets deleted here. Busio has a good shockwave, but with 2 hero down, Julian out of the fight. The Soraka sustain no longer an option, and run down Busio, take him out as well. Spawn He's still dangerous looking for it, but I feel like that would be the dragon secured now by Simplicity.
Yeah, that's going to be
Actually,
Soul as well.
I don't believe this is a replay. I think this might be live.
This is live, Chief. This is
right,
currently happening. No
Good
prophecies being told.
It's a trade, though. So Dragon Soul started here by Simplicity, but the Baron started up by Polar Ace. I don't know if they can do it fast enough.
Yeah, they do not have the guns for it, and they do not have the men power for it either. They need to disengage, get out as fast as possible, because that gold card on the
Can he find it? No flash available. He's got the Hex Flash. I don't think they're going to hard commit, but now, oh, look at this. Simplicity started up the Baron instead with the Dragon Soul. That extra bit
of oomph.
Oh, the hook over the wall. Spawn doesn't actually get pulled. And yeah, not a lot of ultimates available on Simplicity. Flares trying to tank, trying to front line and just poke down. But now look at the Volibear coming in. I think that Simplicity should back up. They got to get away from this one. Abort the call and just try again later. They do start to back off, but Polar Ace, now that Bo3 is back up, they might just start it again themselves, Coco. This is a long Baron dance that we're finding. There's the Ash Arrow coming through. The fight's been so long, the ultimates are coming back online, and Swaggerus goes down. Panda finds himself with a flank with Flares, but now the rest of the team's joined in. Flares in a lot of trouble. They got no front line. They got no one to take up this damage. Maybe Bo3 can make it happen on the side. He does take down K-Hip-Hop, but pulled over the wall by Mr. Bad. Sudsy trying to get that DPS, but he just doesn't have the mana to output the damage that he needs. Flash of the wall. Spawn runs forward on the Aphelios. Trying to find those last little kills. The Requiem comes down. Takes down Soraka. Almost takes down Busio. Mr. Bad now on the side. Spawn's still around, but there's nothing he can do. 1v3, a double kill to Panda, and now the Baron will be started by Simplicity.
And so much mind game is going on between these two teams. Like, yes, Polar Ace went for the Hail Mary play, tried to do the Baron with only 3 members up against Simplicity, who were just able to burn down the Dragon into the Soul and then grab it, run over to Baron's pit, and then try and push them off. They were able to successfully do that. And then it was just an unfortunate event for Simplicity because they didn't have the tools to disengage off of Baron and close in on the 3 members before the rest of Polar Ace was able to get back into the fight and reinforce their fellow players. But in the end, it was just that slow disengagement back into the re-engage, trying to find the proper positioning. And honestly, you have to give a big kudos to Hip Hop, whose positioning was phenomenal, as well with Panda in that back end, just dealing the damage as much as he could with the Karthus and finalizing the kill. Sure, the KDA doesn't tell it on the average scale, but he is playing out of his mind right now in this first game of the series.
And that's insane CS per minute for a Karthus, or for a jungler rather. But let's get the replay of what happened when we had that slight delay. The catch onto Flare's bot side, and yeah, we see Polar Ace make the play mid.
Yeah, so this was the start of it all. That was team of unfortunate again. They darn did it again.
There we go. We're back. We're back.
Well, you know, TLDR stuff happened. And
I don't think Summoner's Rift wants us to know what happened in that play. I think they're still on Polar Ace's side here. Like, okay, if we can't kill members of Simplicity, maybe we can just prevent the replay from showing them win the fight.
Possibly. Yeah, maybe. But nonetheless, they're actually back to their 6,000, 7,000 gold differential. So they've been able to get that lead back into their favor and really snag it away from Polar Ace. With the Baron power play, I don't know if they can actually break anything open, just because that their team is just built for picking people and then asserting onto objectives. So you have to find a snag or a pull from Mr. Bad, and then once you're able to take at least 2 members, like at least either Julian or Swaggerus, kill them, then you can actually push in and look for a siege. So look for Mr. Bad, look for Hip Hop's Enchanted Arrows to really start out these picks into those fights.
And they've had a great run of picking Julian right now. Hero on the bot side, the mid laner for Maryville, lane swapping to support here for Polar Ace, played an off roll, and it's starting to show, honestly. Constantly caught out, has died 8 times, and might just go down again. Mr. Bad over the wall. They're ready for anybody from Polar Ace to walk up a little too far, get a little too greedy, and then just take them down immediately. And it's Spawn this time around. He flashed over the wall, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Mr. Bad actually claims that kill with the ticks of Ignite. And with the 80 carry down, this should be an inhibitor or more coming in from Simplicity if they can play it right. That is a huge, huge sway in momentum for them.
Yeah, and now that's that one member down, and it's a big crucial member as well. So
and
they
they
look
get
for this fight.
Swaggerous. Nope, never mind. He's still alive. Has to use the ultimate just to get away from that one,
Look at how
though.
low they are. Oh my goodness.
Legion under turret, all that poke, all that long range damage. Panda, meanwhile, chipping away at the bottom turret. Flares jumps in, tries to take him down, but Mr. Bad is there for the backup. Flares gets a huge shield. They turn out to Panda, but he goes golden with the Zonia, stays alive just long enough to buy more time for the team. And Swaggerous goes down as well. A trade of junglers. Bucio now caught out, tries to get too far forward, get a little too cute with it, and the hook barely misses on the Flares. Mr. Bad with the max range engages. Can't find it that time around, but it doesn't matter. They still take that bottom inhibitor.
Yeah, and now that we're going into disengage, reset the map, grab some additional items if you can, and from here on out, all you need to do is grab the hammer, grab the nails, and drill them into the coffin boards of Polar Ace for this first game. So at this stage, game is pretty much written in stone. The only issue is, can they find a miracle fight? And by just a single fight, it's really like 2 fights, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
going
going
to
to take a lot
really
for
get some
Polar Ace
stuff.
to come back.
Like, it's going to be this Elder Dragon. Like, they've gotten the perfect reset timing for this Elder Dragon objective contestion. So get that at the ready. It's going to be the be-all, end-all, because Polar Ace cannot give up this Elder Dragon to Simplicity, because that is just the initial final drive-in of the nail into the coffin. So this is it. This is
Start
all for the marbles here.
Simplicity, they have to answer this if they can. Sudsy on the flank. I don't know if they spotted him there, and the Gangplank ultimate comes down, plus the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. An immediate cleanse out of Bucio. They do not want to get caught up, but oh, look at that Requiem damage. Julian on the Soraka is almost dead already. Has to pop that ultimate just to keep everyone alive. Wish doing work, but look at the teleport here. Sudsy.
Or no, that's BMD, excuse me.
BMD looking to end the game. It gets the teleport out of Flares as well, so now it's going to be a 4 for 4 on the Dragon. But look at that ultimate. The engage coming in from Bucio. Shockwave claims the jungler, and Polar Ace might just turn this one around. Flares keeping the base safe, keeping their hopes alive, and Simplicity with no jungler now have to fight their way back. At least they took down Swagasaurus rather, on the Volley Bear, so neither jungler alive. Mr. Bad trying to corral everybody over, and look at the top lane. Brad Mandarius has joined in faster than Flares. They get the hook onto Bucio as they turn their attention onto the other. Spawn goes down. Everyone goes down. It's just Flares left alive, and this might be the game, Coco. Sudsy's got ultimate. He's going to back and ult into the base. They don't need the Elder Dragon. Simplicity are looking to end it right now.
Yep, there's the TP coming in from Sudsy. They have the super minion wave to finish it off. The gold card will land. The arrow is blocked.
Ooh, blocked by Swagorus, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Proud Mandarius under the turret doing all this damage to Flares, although he's taking a lot. In return, the Gangplank goes down. I don't know if they have enough damage to end the game now. They got to take down this Volley Bear. Swagorus taking a lot, has to back off. No more turrets left alive. Flares kiting in, kiting out. Sudsy stopping Swagorus from preventing K-Hip-Hop from getting these autos, and he even goes down. Flares just hammering away at K-Hip-Hop, but it is all for naught. Victory over to Simplicity Esports for game number 1. And Coco, these predictions starting to feel a little more comfortable now.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to edit that tweet as well, because we will 2-1 Simplicity is what it should be saying after that game, because it was brutal for the first early stages. Like that level 1 invade just completely threw the rest of Polar Ace's team like haywire, just threw that wrench in the gears, and they couldn't figure out how to really scramble themselves back into a sense of equality through that whole mental state, right? So that causing the chaos in the early game helped them ramp up a little bit more, not to mention the whole solo kill that happened on top lane with BMD going up against Flares.
Yeah, what was that?
That was something that, again, it's just a sense of matchup understanding between the two players. Like BMD just knows how he can duel and how he can trade effectively on Gangplank compared to that of Flares' Jace. So winning that one out, eventually it did slowly go into the laning Jace's favor, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter because the rest of the team was just dominating.
There was a short window where Flares had the upper hand over BMD in that solo lane. But I love what Simplicity was able to do. They just lane swap, put the TF in that lane instead. He can handle the Jace much better than the Gangplank at that point in the game, while Gangplank was still scaling up. And Simplicity just played a very clean game of League of Legends. They had this composition that can make these picks with Blitzcrank, Ashe, and Twisted Fate, and they executed it beautifully. I wouldn't say flawlessly, but very, very impressively. So we'll see if they're able to do that again in game number 2, or if we can see Polar A's fight back. We're going to send it over to a short break while we get ready for game 2.